Hello everyone, I am Sharpedo43 once again bringing you all a Wi-Fi battle for Pokémon Sword and Shield. It's the first one that I ever do, and I'm not sure if it's the last one I'll do. That all depends what goes on after this battle. But yeah, I'll talk a bit about that after the match. But yeah, this is going to be my first battle once again, and my first opponent is actually going to be Chad, also known as Anthemic, formerly known as Tickle Me Chad, but now known as Anthemic all around. He was actually streaming Wi-Fi battles on Twitch, and I actually wanted to get a Wi-Fi battle. I finally, now that I got the ability to, breed mons and, make teams very quickly, I actually wanted to get my hands on one of the Wi-Fi battles for Pokémon Sword and Shield. So, yeah. Now, obviously, this was kind of early, although I think tiers were already established as Dynamax was already banned. So I think there are like a couple tiers here that existed during the time of this video. As you can see, this is the team that I'm going to use. It's actually an idealized version of my in-game team, actually. Like, it's got all the right EVs, the right sets, or at least the ideal ones anyway. The right IVs, items, you name it. And they're at level 100, so it's like... It's basically a perfected version of my team, basically. My in-game team. The reason I'm actually using this team is because I feel like now that I can actually breed... mons quicker and can get teams very quickly, I feel like I'm just going to end up using some of the same old mons that I've used way back in Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon as well. So therefore I just figured, you know what, let's just make this team perfect and use it, because it does consist of a lot of new Pokemon that I've never actually used, including some of the ones that were introduced in Generation 8, such as Runerigus, Inteleon, Corviknight, Eldegoss, Grimmsnarl, you name it. It's like a bunch of good mons. And I like their designs too, honestly, so it's like it's pretty cool, and I have a feeling I may not use them in future battles, assuming I do that many, honestly, because you already know my thoughts about this game, honestly. Yeah. Also, I did talk about Chad, right? Like, he and I have battled quite a bit before, too, honestly. Like, he and I first battled in Sun and Moon. I think we battled twice in Sun and Moon, and then from there we battled a few more times in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And this is going to be our first Wi-Fi battle in Sword and Shield. I think this is, like, the only guy who I actually got to play in Sun and Moon all the way to Sword and Shield, because everybody else kind of pretty much is gone now, honestly. There's no Killer Nacho, there's no Soulfire, no Jodor, no Mr. Talent. Mr. Talent recently actually dropped out of the Pokemon community as well, so it's just like, yeah, this community is starting to become very, very, desolate now, since a lot of the content creators that stand out in the community, like, I have no close connections to at this point. For me, all the people I had close connections to are pretty much leaving the Pokemon community, which is why I'm considering doing so myself, but I need to know how to in order to, do so successfully and whatnot. But anyways, enough about me, and let's get on with this battle. So this is going to be my first Wi-Fi battle. As you can see, this introduction actually looks pretty cool. And in fact, I can actually use this for thumbnails, actually. Every time I face somebody, I don't even have to I don't even have to put the name of the opponent in the title anymore. It's just gonna be there in the thumbnail. Although I might still put the name in the title, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of cool. Gives you an idea of who I actually play against. Unless they're a content creator and actually have a different username, and this is just their in-game name, But some people do that anyway. Like, they use their in-game name, or they use their their internet alias as an in-game name, honestly. So, but again, I'm just saying it's cool for thumbnails, basically. And am I wrong? I think it's pretty nice. But anyways, so I'm gonna lead off with Corviknight, and he's gonna lead off with the Ferrothorn. I believe, okay, so this Corviknight is actually like a sub bulk up set. So the first thing I do here on a Ferrothorn is go for substitute, because more often than not, Ferrothorns can't do anything to Corviknight. Like, the only thing they can do is Thunder Wave and then Leech Seed, but that's what substitute's there for. I can actually just substitute and protect myself from any of those crazy shenanigans. And if anything, it'll actually force him to switch out into something else, as he does right here. He's actually going to go into the Seismitoad right here. And I am going to go for the substitute, like I said, because it's actually definitely a free move here, actually, in the eyes of a Ferrothorn. So right here, I believe I go for one bulk up. And then my plan here is just to basically go for a Brave Bird, just to see how much damage it does. Usually the amount of damage I can do to a Seismitoad, at least with Corviknight, can vary depending on the set of Seismitoad itself. If it's a very defensive set, it might take it even after plus well. After +1. So right now I'm at +1. If it takes the Brave Bird pretty well, we might have to set up another bulk up to actually be able to take it out easy peasy. So yeah. Here he's gonna go for Stealth Rocks with the Seismitoad, which is actually kind of bad for me because I don't think I have a hazard removal. Actually, never mind, I'm a liar. I do have Eldegoss who has Rapid Spin, so that's actually really good. And then here, I think here's where I actually finally execute the Brave Bird. This is where I'm actually gonna find out if I actually can dish out a lot of damage before he takes out my substitute. Because I wasn't sure if the Skull would be enough to take out the substitute. If it doesn't, it would actually be really good for me, because then I can actually take advantage of setting up more bulk ups and then just going for game. In fact, you people should already know that the matches in Pokemon Sword and Shield are like, they take supposedly around 20 minutes. Maybe it's 20 minutes exactly. But yeah, either way, that's not a whole lot of time. So my plan when I first got into this battle with Chad was just to go for game. If I can just 6-0 him right here, that's what we're gonna do. Because either way, we don't have a lot of time to be messing around, playing around each other's team. So yeah, here he went for Skull, and it actually was not enough to take out my substitute, which was actually kind of cool. So I got to set up another bulk up right here, and because of the amount of damage that I did with Brave Bird not being a lot, that's why I went for the second bulk up basically. And now I'm hoping that now that I'm at +2, I can do a little bit more damage than before. And then from here, if it's a 2-hit KO, we just simply take out the Seismitoad and not have to worry about anything else later. And maybe, if possible, try to send in Eldegoss to get the Rapid Spin off. That way these rocks are not hurting my team in the process. So here, I do believe I go for another substitute. Yeah, substitute, because I wanted to make sure I'm behind a substitute. If he plans on switching this Seismitoad out, I want to be behind a substitute so that I can get another free hit off at +2 against his team. But yeah, here's my other substitute, and I believe he goes for Scald, honestly. I don't actually remember. But yeah, so I take damage, or the substitute takes damage actually, and as always, it doesn't break it, thankfully. I don't know what investments I actually put on this Corviknight, but it just was able to take it. I honestly didn't think it would. But again, this Seismitoad was extremely bulky. You saw that at +1. I don't remember if this was an adamant Corviknight or was it like a defensive one. I don't remember the set. I kind of wish I did, but it's been a while since I actually did this battle, because, you know, like I said, after this one battle, like, I just wasn't sure if I wanted to do another one, honestly. But yeah, okay, so here's the second Skull from the Seismitoad, and I think I just went for the Brave Bird here again. Oh, no, I didn't. I went for another substitute, then I went for the Brave Bird. Yeah, I think that was the plan. These damn leftovers, though. I should have probably sped this video up a little bit, but I'm not going to do so. It's my first Wi-Fi battle, and I just want it to be played in its entire glory. So, yeah, no funky edits here for this particular scenario. He's going for substitute, which is fine. Or, I'm going for substitute, not him. I am. Keeping up with the game plan. Like, I know I'm getting withered down, but, again, I'm better off because this thing is at +2 now. So, the goal is to just get as much damage as possible. But I also want to be behind a substitute so that I don't just simply go down to the next hit by the next mon. Especially if it's going to be faster than my Corviknight. So, and in the process, I can just get either an entire KO or even a lot of damage dished out to the next mon. So here I'm going to go for the next Brave Bird, and it is thankfully going to be enough to take out the Seismitoad. Which means that if I can get the Eldegoss in here, you know, like on a mon that isn't like a bad matchup, basically, I can just go for the Rapid Spin. Although I do have to be wary of the Dragapult that he has behind, because actually, yeah, like that is a Ghost type, from what I understand. It's a Dragon Ghost type mon. And, you know, that's my spin blocker right there. Or that's his spin blocker right there. Not mine. I don't have a spin blocker. I don't even think I have a Ghost type on this team. Oh, no, I do. Runerigus. But, you know. I don't think he has Rapid Spin. But I don't think he even expected me to have Hazards either, honestly. But, yeah. Either way. So here, Chad, I guess, is thinking, what is he going to want to send out? Although he doesn't have a lot of time because, you know, 20-minute timer is a thing in this game. So he's going to have to make his mind up quickly, because if he actually keeps thinking for too long, he's at a deficit right now. So if the timer runs out, I'm basically going to win, because he's at a deficit right now. I took out one of his mons. I still have all 6 of mine. He sends out Gengar. Now this was lovely, although I kind of had suspicions that this was probably a Sash set given how he sent it in. And right now the only way he can actually get in on this Corviknight is if he breaks my substitute, which will cost him either HP or an entire KO. Either way, and I was also thinking, do I want to set up another substitute or even bulk up? But I figured, nah, because I think this Gengar is powerful enough to actually break the substitute even if I reset the HP for it. So I just went for, and on top of that, he went for Trick too, honestly, which thankfully fails on the substitute because I actually wasn't sure if it actually would actually clip my last move that I went for, which I think was a passive one. Although I did go for, no, actually no, I went for Brave Bird on the Seismitoad. Then he brought in, so if he tricked me into Brave Bird, it wouldn't have mattered anyway. I would have just gone down to Recoil. Thankfully for him, it didn't work out though, because I mean, if it worked out and I was locked into a Choice Scarf, I would have just gone for Brave Birds and just KO'd a lot of things and outsped a lot of his stuff. But I was weakened at the same time, so he could have just sent out Ferrothorn to just have me go down to the Recoil anyway. So maybe it was a lost cause anyways. Maybe he thought it was worth going for it, but I think what was important for him was to actually get rid of this substitute, because now he lost Gengar and this Corviknight's still running house on his team right now, which is actually good for me. But yeah, not good for him obviously. Although he does scare me with this Grimmsnarl though, because he actually brought it in and I thought I could just Brave Bird this thing. But not only is it faster than me, but it's also got bulk up, so if this thing sets up enough to the point where it can easily eat up these hits, we're gonna have issues obviously. So here I'm thankfully gonna go down to the Recoil, because if I stayed alive, this thing would just set up more bulk ups and take more hits and then possibly bring it back basically. So yeah, here I think I'm gonna send in Eldegoss. I don't actually remember, but I do think I send in Eldegoss. Reason why is because if this thing, because looking at my team, not a whole lot can take it out, especially since most of it is actually a physical attacker. And Inteleon, I don't want to risk missing the Hydro Pump with Specs Hydro Pump, so because it would take it out. My only concern was that I'd miss basically, so I decided to just play it safe and send in Eldegoss and just go for the Leech Seed. Actually, I think I went for the Giga Drain just to see how much I would do first, and then I went for the Leech Seed when I saw that it wasn't gonna do a lot, because yeah, this Grimmsnarl, after seeing the bulk up and then seeing how well it's gonna actually take this Giga Drain, as you'll see right here, tells me that this is probably a Spadef invested Grimmsnarl with bulk up, which makes sense because it doesn't have a way to raise its Spadef, but definitely its defense, so it doesn't need the investment on defense. He's gonna go for Thunder Wave though before I go for the Giga Drain, and as you can see, it just does absolutely nothing. So this is when I was like, okay, I gotta get this Leech Seed off. In retrospect, I probably should have gotten the Leech Seed off honestly first, but I think my concern was that he'd switch into Ferrothorn. But Giga Drain doesn't really do much to Ferrothorn either, honestly. So it's like, I think the attempt at Leech Seeding was probably more optimal before taking this Thunder Wave. And you're gonna see why right now, because look, now that I'm gonna go for Leech Seed, I'm actually gonna try to you know, like he's gonna go for bulk up, which is scary because if he sets up enough of those, he could bring it back now. He has leftovers on this, so if I can't touch his Grimmsnarl, he's gonna get back to full HP, and then I'm not gonna be able to touch him at all. And if he gets to full HP, not even Inteleon with Specs Hydro Pump would be able to take it out, given that this is like a Spadef invested Grimmsnarl. But anyways, Eldegoss got paralyzed on my attempt to get the Leech Seed up, and in the process, this guy is in fact setting up more bulk ups, taking advantage of me getting paralyzed, which is really, really obnoxious. I don't like how paralysis is still a thing in this game, but it is, and this is the first match in Sword and Shield where I actually experienced RNG. It's crazy because this is my first match too. But yeah, so here I finally get the Leech Seed off, thankfully, before getting paralyzed any further, and this is good because it'll kind of neuter his leftovers, since I do believe Leech Seed damage is a lot more than what he gets from leftovers, but it's still gonna slowly wither him down, like much slower than usual, honestly, had it just been Leech Seed damage and no recovery from leftovers. But anyways, this thing is gonna be going for the Spirit Break, and as you can see at plus, I think it was 2 or 3, I think it was plus 3, it does a lot. Thankfully it doesn't take me out entirely, but I am forced to switch out. Into what? That's actually a good question. Well, I decided to go into Runerigus right here. Reason being is just that my Eldegoss is getting leftovers recovery and Leech Seed recovery, so it puts me at half HP. And most importantly, this Eldegoss actually has Regenerator, so I could just switch out and get almost to full HP again. So I decided to send in Runerigus, who is like my other physical wall. I don't even know if Eldegoss is physical wall though, but Runerigus certainly is, and I decided to send it in because at plus 3, I might be able to still take those Spirit Breaks very well. I also wanted to see if he had a Dark move too, honestly, because if he doesn't have a Dark move, then maybe Runerigus can actually get like some damage, or at least go for the Will-O-Wisp and burn it so that its attack is reduced, because right now this Grimmsnarl is not statused in any way, shape, or form, so it's kind of running house on my team right now, as you can see. This Spirit Break is like a 2-hit KO. It looks like after leftovers I'd be able to take another one, but I wasn't sure honestly. Once again, I didn't want to play it too risky in this match, because I didn't want to lose mons. I figured that if the timer runs out and he's at a deficit still, I'll still win. For me, that was kind of the goal, because I already knew that 20 minutes was a thing in this game before I started doing these Wi-Fi battles. So I figured that if I'm going to play this 20-minute match and there's no guarantee that I'll take out all of his mons, then the goal is just to basically have the most mons. That's basically how I played this match, to make sure that I have the most mons, not to take out all his mons, although that was something I was having at the back of my head. And you're gonna see that near the end of this match that I kind of try to go for that whole trying to take out as many mons of his as possible, even though given my my advantage right now, I could just timer stall, but you know, that would be scummy, obviously, especially since the timer here is very, very reduced. Like, it gets you to think way too much more than necessary because of that timer. It's kind of annoying, honestly. This is why this match was more or less tedious to an extent. I still liked it. It was kind of engaging. It's just like, I just kind of wish there was more time to this match. But yeah, here it goes. He goes into, or I send in Eldegoss, I believe, and I just go for the, or he went for Sucker Punch. Yeah, I switched out Grimmsnarl, and he went for the Sucker Punch, revealing the Sucker Punch. Or I went, he went for Sucker Punch as I switched out into Eldegoss, scouting the Sucker Punch. He did go for it. He tried to go for it on my Runerigus, and thankfully I got more leftovers recovery in the process because I took no damage. But now he could go for the Spirit Break, since he's still at +3. And I think my goal here was just to go for another Giga Drain just to weather this thing even further. Although I think, unfortunately for me, I get paralyzed again, which sucks, because now I have to go back into Runerigus. And hopefully he goes for, I don't know, something that isn't Spirit Break. But I do have to sack something now, because if I stay in with this Eldegoss, it's just going to go down, basically. And I kind of low-key didn't want that, because I felt like maybe I could Leech Seed some of the rest of his mons that he has left on his team. Since I don't think, well, aside from Ferrothorn, nothing else is immune to Leech Seed. I could be wrong though. I don't know if the coat ability that Mandibus has, I don't know if that negates Leech Seed. But if it does, then maybe I could be in trouble. Maybe Eldegoss was disposable after all. But I don't know. Either way, I sent out Runerigus here because this thing, I was initially gonna sack it, but then I saw that I could actually take a hit, which is actually good, because he's actually gonna get withered down even further with the Leech Seed, because of the leftovers, this thing going down very easily is very difficult, because honestly the Leech Seed or the leftovers keeps negating the Leech Seed damage. Although Leech Seed is still doing more damage, it's just making it slower and harder for the Grimmsnarl to go down, despite this thing being at +3. This is why I have to give props to the Runerigus for being able to take these hits. Otherwise we probably would have been destroyed at this point, honestly. And I'm pretty convinced that's what Chad wanted to do. He wanted to get enough bulk ups to just destroy my entire team. Since it looks like with these 20-minute timers, sweeping your opponents is probably going to be the way. But honestly, that's never been my favorite way of winning matches, honestly. And if anything, it causes people to want to forfeit or DC. Although I think in this game, since 20-minute timers are a thing, it doesn't really matter, because timers run out anyway. I don't know. Oh, and you can't save replays either, honestly, in this game. That was another thing I forgot to mention. That you can't actually save replays in this game, and you're going to see right now. But anyways, here I decided to go into Haxorus. The reason being is just because this Haxorus is Life Orb, and I was thinking maybe with a close combat, since that was the only move I could actually hit this thing with, Earthquake does less damage, so I was thinking this has to be the move I can go for, and I'm hoping I can take it out despite it being at +3, because right now it's weakened. But if it doesn't, then we might actually lose, because then it'll be him that's at the advantage and not me. He'll be able to take several of my mons out before Leech Seed kicks in. So as you can see, thankfully we were able to actually take out his Grimmsnarl, which is good, because that thing was actually looking really damn scary. It was actually ready to sweep, basically, if he took out this Haxorus right now. But thankfully, crisis averted. We actually were able to take down this Grimmsnarl. Now here's where I mentioned earlier that this is where I start to play more to take out his mons rather than trying to keep the most mons, honestly. The reason why was just because I didn't want, like, I wanted to feel like I could convincingly win this match. But at the same time, I was kind of being held back by the fact that I just simply need to play the differential game and just actually make sure I have the most mons on my team. So here he goes into the Mandibus, and I actually decided to switch in Eldegoss for some reason. I guess I was trying to see if he would go for like maybe Taunt or something, and if he did, I'd just switch out and get more Regenerator, because these rocks are still here. I also think I wanted to get the Rapid Spin off as well. But unfortunately, he does go for the U-turn here, and I think it's here where he actually reveals his his brand new mon in this game, which is the Dragapult. Now here, I think I actually commit one of the biggest blunders ever here, honestly, in this match. Yeah, he's gonna send this out, and I was thinking, okay, maybe I can take a flamethrower or whatever this thing has, or maybe he doesn't have flamethrower, and I can just maybe go for a rapid spin for some reason. He actually goes for substitute, so this is actually really bad for me. I only have Giga Drain, so this would have been bad for me either way. But yeah, I went for a rapid spin, which is horrible because yeah, now I actually don't have a lot of, you know, options against this. And if this thing can set up, this thing can pretty much win the whole thing for Chad. And as you saw earlier, it said that I only had 3 minutes of this match to go basically before the match comes to a conclusion, which means, again, I could play for timer, but that would just be kind of scummy. So I'm just like here quickly thinking, what do I go into? But I had to think fast because I didn't want to, like, I was still in a winning position. It's just that this is where I was starting to kick in with the whole, I want to take out some more of his mons so that Chad doesn't think that this match was just like a fluke or anything. I wanted to see if I can assert my my W here in a convincing manner. Even if I don't get to take out all of his mons, take out most of his mons. This might have hurt me in a way, because you're gonna find out at the end of the match. But yeah. So here I send in the Grimmsnarl. He went for Hex, which kind of made me worry that this thing would have Will-O-Wisp. So I just went for the Spirit Break regardless, because I actually needed to break the substitute. And unfortunately for me, he does actually have the Will-O-Wisp. So I was like, okay, that's bad, because if I can't break the substitute with the Will-O-Wisp, this Dragapult might just clean up and just win the whole game. So I go for Spirit Break right here. And it has a cool animation, by the way. And it's going to break, thankfully, the substitute from this Dragapult, which means now he's going to have to do something else, because what does he have? Like Dragon moves and then Hex? Like, this Grimmsnarl is actually a good answer for the Dragapult, as long as I don't get Will-O-Wisp, honestly. Maybe getting a Thunder Wave off on this thing would have been nice, but I actually didn't have Thunder Wave on this thing. So, yeah. Now here, I believe I continue going for Spirit Breaks because I wanted to just cripple this Dragapult to the point where he can be taken down by Inteleon. Although I think with Specs I might be able to take it out with an Ice Beam. I don't know yet though. Actually, I have not like managed to hit a Dragapult that hard since this is my first match, obviously. Okay, but here, this is the final minute of the match, as you can see right there. The timer is like counting down now. Even though it was kind of isolated for the most part, it didn't actually have like the 20-minute listing on the side of the match. It just says now that out of nowhere that you only have 1 minute to finish this match, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, here I'm at Grimmsnarl and he sends out the Ferrothorn, and I decided to just switch out and go into Haxorus. I didn't have to do this actually, but again, the mentality to just take out a bunch of his mons kicked in, and I decided to send this thing in, which meant that I had to take rocks damage, a Power Whip, and then here I go for Close Combat, hoping I could take it out, which means I'll be at -1, take Iron Bars damage, and then Life Orb, because I'm also a Life Orb on this Haxorus, which means that he could take me out with a Gyro Ball pretty easily. Maybe even with the Power Whip if he actually doesn't have the Gyro Ball. But here I just went for it all, just to see if I can actually take out this this Ferrothorn, because I would have felt a lot more convinced that I won this match convincingly. But yeah, although because I lost this Haxorus very early to this Ferrothorn, this pretty much opened up the window for Chat to possibly have still won this match. Although unfortunately for him, the timer is already out, and the only thing we can do now is just send out whatever the heck we're gonna send out, and then just click our final move, but the match will end before any of that even happens. So yeah, I decided to send out Inteleon because looking at what he had left of his team, Ice Beam would just pretty much do the job. It takes out this Ferrothorn, and if he sends out the Mandibus, depending on what moves it has, I might just take it out in 2 Ice Beams. And if Dragapult is weakened enough, I could just take it out with Ice Beam too. And if I don't take out the Dragapult, I can just simply have it weakened enough for one of my other 2 mons to take it out actually. And it would not be able to set up any substitutes. So yeah. So as you can see, we actually just won that match. my mons were actually healthier because we both had the same amount of mons, thanks to the fact that I decided to get kind of risky and just start like trying to KO stuff by force. But basically that didn't end up working in my favor. Basically, in fact, it just ended up just putting me at risk of losing this match again. I always do that in these matches with Chad and the Killer Nacho and all. Like, I always play so risky, thinking that I can actually, like, I don't know, like assert some kind of dominance or something. I don't know, but that stuff usually comes at the expense of my W's in these matches. Although thankfully here, because of this timer thing being very, very limited, I actually was able to win. According to chat, supposedly he believed that he could have won this match. I believe that it could have gone either way, but he kind of, I don't know, he was complaining to me a lot that he could have won, honestly. So I was just like, I don't know. That's kind of where I looked back at the match and realized that, you know what, all of your mons were pretty much going down to Ice Beam from a Specs Intellion anyway. So unless your mons were able to take hits very, very well and just retaliate. Because look, if he went into Dragapult and he didn't have like Draco Meat or something, I think Intellion would have lived and just gotten a huge hit off, and then I would have just been able to take out the Mandibus afterwards. I don't know. It depends on. I think it just depends on the sets that Chad had on his mons. Because if they were like slow variants or something of everything, Intellion would just outspeed everything and just hit everything really, really hard. If he didn't have Draco Meter on the Dragapult, I might have taken a hit and gotten 2 Ice Beams off. And if the Mandibus was not Spadef invested, I would have 2-hit KO'd that too. Or if I was weakened by the Dragapult, I could just get 1 Ice Beam off and put it in range for one of my 2 months, remaining months, to take it out instead. Although one of them was a weakened Eldegoss, so I don't know how much that would have worked, honestly. And I think the other one was Runerigus, which I don't know. Depends, again, it just depends on what moves Chad had on his team. But yeah, that's going to be the match. We actually do end up winning the match, which, thanks to the timer possibly, because I think otherwise it would have been, it could have gone either way. But yeah. Although I'll admit that the fact that there was potential for one of us to win, like there was no like a well-decided winner, basically, is kind of what makes this experience a little bit of a displeasure, honestly. Especially on Chad, because he lost, honestly. But you know, still, I kind of wasn't happy with it either, because look, imagine if I actually end up winning against a bunch of people because the timer says so, even though they had potential to come back. It would just make my experiences in Wi-Fi battles a bit of a headache, honestly, even more so than when I have to deal with people who are wimps in the draft leagues, you know. But oh well. Anyways, so with that said, is this the last Wi-Fi battle? I actually no, although it's close. Because I actually did talk to Mr. Chabri, who is a guy that I actually played in draft leagues, namely the MGDL and the EBA. And he and I actually came to an agreement to actually do a Wi-Fi battle, not only in Sword and Shield, but also in Let's Go Pikachu. And I actually do want to do the Let's Go Pikachu battle first. Although I have been holding him back for quite a while now, honestly. So I'm kind of like, I kind of need to hurry up. But it's just that I've been really, really busy lately. That was another reason why I just didn't do anything for a while now. But we're going to see, honestly, if we can actually do that, honestly. But with all that said, thank you all for watching this Wi-Fi battle. This is my first Wi-Fi battle for Pokémon Sword and Shield. There's going to be at least one more sometime later down the road. But for now, just take it easy and have yourselves a damn good one.